think we're ready to go here. There we are. Hello, everybody, and good morning. It's Ray from Maker Comment, helping you create better experiences in the art of making. So welcome to our second live stream. And this is really just put together for you guys. I just scheduled it because I thought maybe we could all check in, and share what we've done so far. I know it's probably a little bit early, but here we are. We're sort of a resource to each other, so I thought it might be fun to see what you guys are up to, and then also kind of share my thoughts and maybe some tips and tricks that can help you get started as well if you haven't gotten started with the Maker Comment monthly challenge. So anyway, super excited. Gonna have some fun today. It's still early here. It's like maybe, well, by early I mean like 10 a.m. Here in Arizona. It's actually kind of cool this morning. It's like 80 degrees right now, which I know that sounds horrible to a lot of you who are living in cooler climates, but for us, that's kind of a big deal. Like it's cooling off in the morning and it's kind of nice. It's still getting above like 100 during the day, which kind of sucks, but we take wins where we get them. So here we are. I've got my coffee in my awesome dragon mug. My sister actually gave me this mug years and years and years ago. She bought it at the Renaissance Festival, and to this day it remains my favorite, my absolute favorite mug. So this is what I do my coffee in every morning so I can be caffeinated. Anyway, all right, so on to creative things. Again, welcome. And I have a weird setup, so that's why I'm kind of like going back between here talking to you guys and then over to my desk. And we're gonna try something new. I don't have my two camera setup done yet, but here I can kind of show you. I am getting set up for that. You can see my arm kind of right there. And so that just came in the mail yesterday. I'm super excited because I can now set up my, I have an old DSLR camera that I bought, oh gosh, many years ago, but it still does really great video. So I'm planning on using that as my overhead cam, and that way, I can kind of switch back and forth between, my face cam and then overhead to show you my project. But for today, we're just going to kind of like muddle through this, and I'm going to turn this camera down on my desk to show you some of the cool things that I've been working on and maybe help you out with some stuff. So, just as a refresher, come on, brain. The challenge was in using 3D modeling, illustration, and polymer clay as the techniques and materials. And like we said in the last live stream, you can go with all three of those. You can pick your favorites. This is just meant to be a fun thing. So you can add other materials as well, if you want to work with those other materials to incorporate in. But I'm thinking like maybe the main part of your final project, your final masterpiece at the end of the month, should probably be like the material that we've chosen, which is polymer clay. But feel free to add in other stuff and other techniques, and maybe we can do some interesting mishmatches by the end of the month. We'll see how this goes. I'm just making this up as we go along, so there you go. But anyway, in all honesty, I did not have I guess enough headspace, or I was trying to I did a lot of screen time last week, trying to get together the live stream for Thursday, and then I'm also editing the channel intro for my YouTube channel, and learning video editing software. I'm just trying to get started as fast as I can to get stuff out there. So I kind of bailed on the 3D modeling part of, starting things out last week. But you know what? This week is technically the first week of the challenge, and those couple of days at the beginning there, even though it was the beginning of the month, were a good way to just kind of intro what we were doing and everything else. So this is like the official first week of the Maker Comment Monthly Challenge, and we just got an extra few days to play, which, yay! Extra time is good, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm the biggest procrastinator, like, ever. Um, anyway. Anyway, so I spent a lot of time on my computer last week, and I kind of needed a screen break from all things digital. So I didn't do a whole lot in like 3D modeling lessons or anything else or tutorials that I've been trying out just because I didn't want to be staring at my screen anymore. So I have no progress to report on how 3D modeling is going. I will say that before the challenge had started, I had been working on some tutorials from Blender Guru for Blender and Product Design Online for Fusion. Probably more recently Blender stuff. But, you know, uh, I'm trying to get back into that. I ran into some frustrating things, and I'm pretty sure it's me. But Blender has like a billion shortcuts, and I'm pretty sure I'm not hitting something right, and so I had to like put that away for a little bit. Um, these are the sort of frustrations that you guys are probably going to run into as well. I mean, I think it's part of the learning process. But anyway, so other progress. I did a little bit of illustration stuff, and I kind of wanted to show off things that I've done in the past and things that I do now, just to kind of, you know, stay creative, stay practicing. I don't practice nearly enough, like to be good at any of this stuff, really. So, you know, just trying to find the time to do that can always be a bit of a challenge. So I get it, but this is kind of why we're doing this, right? I mean, we're doing this to improve on stuff that we kind of love doing, or maybe learn something new. Anyway, let's start with illustration because I have the most material for that, and it goes back like a long time. So I've always loved drawing and doing stuff. I brought some of my sketchbooks from high school, if you can believe it, just to show you some of the stuff. So I started off just using pencil. I love pencil as a media, and we're not even talking anything fancy here. You know, I know there's a whole range and spectrum of different lead, like hard and softness that you can use, and you know, there's art pencils and stuff. So my pencil of choice in high school, and it still is to this day, is just a mechanical pencil with .5 lead, like number two, and that's it. That is the only thing I've been using consistently throughout all of the years. And back in high school, I was using those like really cheap, are they Bic or maybe Pentel quick pencils? That, you know, they have the lead, and then once the lead runs out, it's not really refillable anymore. It's kind of horrible. But yeah, that's what I started with, and I've continued to use not the really cheap ones anymore. Like my favorite pencil right now is this one. I don't even know the brand. I think it may be Zebra. Maybe. Anyway, I got this a long time ago at a Japanese stationery store, and seriously, Japan, you create the best mechanical pencils, hands down. But yeah, this one is a number five or .5 lead. It's got a tiny eraser up here, which I don't use. And what I liked about it is you can shake it and it advances the lead, which was super convenient for me instead of having to go to the top and clicker, which I think you can still do. Oh yeah, you can totally do that with this one. So if you wanted to advance the lead that way, you can. But I just loved that, you know, you can shake the pencil and the lead comes out of the tip. And that's been my pencil for many years. But really, you can use you can use any pencil. Like, seriously. Let me show you really quick. So, I brought my very old sketchbook from high school. And it's kind of crazy. Like all of this was done in pencil or colored pencil. So that was something that I really loved using in high school was colored pencil. And so, and I really liked, I don't know why, but I really loved surreal sort of images. So like I did this sort of floating rose and compass table. Um, let's see what else. And these are all done with just like, like I said, the cheap uh, Bic or Pentel, pencils. What else? What else? Oh, I'm a big dork. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got this poster behind my head, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and there it is in my sketchbook as well, which is hilarious. And my husband and I, you know, the whole series for DS9 is on Netflix. Like they have all the Star Treks, which is great. So we just finished Deep Space Nine. Oh gosh, just over the weekend, which was a lot of fun. Going back and seeing it. Still think that show is brilliant. And easily my favorite Star Trek series. I know that's like a controversial thing to say, but in the Trek world, but DS9 was definitely my favorite show. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that was all done in mechanical pencil. Nowadays, I've tried to improve my art a little bit, and I've added some other tools. And again, you don't have to go expensive with this. You can get like Sharpies or, gosh, I know riding into work one day. When I still had like an office job and not my own business, I was riding the train into work and I really wanted to sketch. Like I had this itch, sometimes you get that itch, right? And like all I had on me was one of those really cheap Bic pens, not even gel ink, like the paste ink, really, really, really cheap pens. And my notebook for work. And I was able to, crank out a sketch, which was actually pretty good. I was trying to find it to show you guys that it can be done, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I don't know where that notebook went. Anyway, maybe we'll bring that out at a later date. You guys have to remind me, okay? Um, but yeah, so you can use pretty much anything, and as you explore illustration as a media, I mean, there are great tools for doing all of this on your computer as well, like free programs. So one that I explored last October when I did Inktober was Krita. Krita, and that was really interesting. I mean, I think it has a bit of a learning curve, but I think all programs do, really. Um, and I wanted to learn more about digital illustration, so that's what I did last year. Now I've lost everything that I've learned because I haven't practiced, because that's the way things go. But that's a medium too, and that's free. So fun resources. Anyway, I keep jumping around here and I'm sorry. But really, for the most part, I use my favorite mechanical pencil, and I am still obsessed with these click erasers, like that I've been using since I was in grade school. I really like these, and I can't tell you why, but that is my pencil and eraser of choice. And then for inking, I love the Copic Multiliner SPs. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus on it. Come on, camera. Anyway, you can kind of see it there. So, specifically, I like the SPs because these are refillable, and you can also pop out the nibs and change them out if they ever get dulled or damaged, which does happen, especially with like, I know I've damaged, I have a .05 point here, which is super duper tiny, like needle tiny. And I know I've damaged that a couple times, so I always have a bunch of these replacements for that one. But yeah, they're really cool. And I just like that you can refill them and reuse them as opposed to like throwing it out when you're done. Like that was kind of a big deal breaker for me. I do still have some of the other type, the regular type, because some of them, well, this one's a black one, but I do have one in sepia, and those ones don't come in refillable, at least to my knowledge, yet. If that's not true, please tell me, because I would love to get refillable sepia um, Copic multi-liners. That would be amazing. But anyway, so those are my pens. Those are my sketch pens. And then I like to use, for white highlights, the Jelly Roll pens. These are so Sakura Jelly Roll. These are my favorite. They write so smoothly, and even for just like fun things like greeting cards and stuff, they come in a variety of like sparkly, shiny, metallic ones that I just absolutely love. They're so much fun to use. So yeah, those are my illustration things. I'm gonna turn my camera over to my bench now, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to tilt this down. Sorry, bear with me for 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. Let's see if I can get it to stay like that. Alright, cool. So let's just see if I can I zoom in? Maybe? Maybe? Okay. Alright. There we go. So just turn everything this way. So this is the latest thing that I did yesterday. Again, you know, just kind of messing around with stuff, getting back into sort of sketching. I haven't done a whole lot in a little while, probably a month. And so I'm a bit rusty. But this is what I do, like, you know, project plans and stuff like that. I'll do sketches, like just doodles and randomness. This was a scribble challenge over here, where I had to kind of fill in the blanks. And then, you know, I usually reserve just one page in my sketchbook for random stuff, you know, because I don't really like to waste paper. So if I know I'm just doing something silly and tiny and really quick, then I'll just reserve a page for that and scribble on that one page and do some doodles. I've been trying to do some illustrations of my cats. I don't know if you, you know this about me, but I've got two really adorable cats. I've got Panther and Precious, and they are adorable. They're freaking cute. In fact, let's see, if we turn the camera over here, you might be able to see. Oh, there he is. There is Panther. He's our Halloween cat. And Precious is probably out someplace else right now, out in the living room, doing cat things. So, there's that. Those are our cats. Those are our little fur babies. Do you guys have pets? If you do, are they a dog or cat? Lizard, hamster, fish, pet rock? I don't know. Alright, well, let me move this out of the way. My desk is a mess. I have all of this crap on here right now. It's kind of nuts. Yeah, so, you can, for the illustration channel, or wow, okay, words are hard this morning. For your illustration portion of this, you know, feel free to use whatever materials you're comfortable using. So like, you know, your pens, your pencils. I also have colored pencils. I don't know. I haven't decided whether I want to use these for the challenge or not. I might, because I don't use it enough. But I got these some time ago, and they're not bad. I would say they're not the best. They're certainly not Prismas. They're cheap Prismas. But you know what? That's what I got, so that's what we're gonna work with. But I know there's a wide variety of other things too. There's like watercolor pencils that are cool. For my inking, I'm a big fan of Copic. If you hadn't noticed from the multi-liners, I've got a whole mess of Copic markers that I like a lot and that I use, and I've just slowly added to that collection over the years. I think my biggest purchase of Copic markers was probably when we went to Japan 2 years ago, because it was a bit cheaper to buy it over there than it is to buy it or order it over here. Anyway, Yeah, I got a boatload of Copic markers, spent a crap ton of money, cried a little bit, and no, but they're great. They're really really good markers. But again, you don't have to go expensive for this challenge. This is all about using what you got around the house, and coming up with something fun to do. Um, so yeah, that's the stuff that I use for illustration, primarily. Let me get my pen bag here and get all of this back in here. Cool. All right, there we go. That's a little neater. Moving on, polymer clay. Okay, so I've done a little few things here and there with polymer clay. Again, nothing too like crazy or too serious. These are mostly just things that I've experimented with over the years, trying things out, seeing what happens. But yeah, like so this is a why is my camera not focusing? There we go. This was like a tiny miniature cookie that I did years ago. I made myself a keychain sort of thing. This was actually hanging off of my notebook. I have a Filofax notebook, which I was using for work. Great notebook. And I wanted to decorate it, so I had this hanging off of it for many years. I haven't been using that notebook lately, so I took it off. Um, but yeah, and then this was an experiment, this little sushi, to see if I could like make some resin stuff to put on top of like a polymer clay base. Um, the seaweed, the nori around this looks really really thick. Like, that would be the most disgusting thing ever. With that much nori around your thing. I don't know. Maybe it'd be okay. Um, I did a muffin. So at one point in my life, I decided like making miniature things was my jam, and and that was fun. That was entertaining. I haven't done it in forever, and I kind of want to get back into it because it was really cool. Um, oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, they are kind of cute. They're not perfect, but what art piece is, right? Um, yeah, so I might get back into that at some point for this challenge, but I'm also really curious as to pushing the limits of Sculpey and Fimo and the polymer clay verse. You can also use air dry clay for this, so like if you're at home, your kid, Model Magic is fine. Play-Doh, whatever stuff that you've got at home. You don't have to go out and buy polymer clay specifically like this stuff here. So I've got the stuff that I've been using. Oops, that was a piece of. I'll show you what this was for in a little bit, but these are the two types of Sculpey that I typically use, or Sculpey and Fimo, polymer clay in general. Oh, man, words are hard. Hang on a second. We need some more coffee here. Oh, come on, brain. All right. So this is translucent Sculpey. It dries when you bake it. It takes on sort of a, well, like it says, translucent, ish kind of effect to it. And it's great because you can mix it with other clays to make them sort of translucenty, or you can mix them with pigments and things like chalk pastel. I've seen people do before. Um, so you can do that. I think I haven't tried this yet, but it's on my list of like in this whole vein of pushing the limits of polymer clay. I'm gonna try mixing it with acrylic paint this week and seeing what happens. So I'll keep you updated on that. And if you want to see the results of these things, like kind of real time ish. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I'm posting most of the photos of this challenge as I go along. So yeah, okay, so that's translucent Sculpey. This is just straight up plain white Fimo. And again, I like that. I like using the plain colors because then I feel like I have more control over the final color, like what I want it to look like. So I can add, chalk pastel, or I can mix it with other, like So I bought this a long while ago, and it's still fine. It's polymer clay, so it doesn't really dry out because it's a oil-based clay. But I bought this set a while back. It was it was on clearance. Um, and it has all the colors. So like I can mix white with any of these if I want to kind of dilute them out. Um, and I like I said, I want to experiment with adding pigments in the form of like acrylic paint to this to see what happens. So I don't know if you guys have tried this before, and know the results. Give me a heads up in the comments, or something. Um, just so I can be forewarned of any bad results that might happen. I don't know. It's an experiment, right? So that's all part of this challenge. This is actually part of the week. This first week is just experimenting with stuff and seeing what you can do with it. It's not really about making anything significant. Okay. So one of the other things that I did that was super duper fun, I got these glow powders, glow in the dark powders. I just ordered them, off of the Amazon, like we're all doing right now. Anyway, so I got it as a set, came with a bunch of glow-in-the-dark colors, and I've been wanting to work with these for a while. Like, I think they're really fun. And I got it mostly for resin, because I do some, I experiment with resin too. That's another media that I'm not great at, that I'm trying to learn more about. I have all these things, that I'm trying to do. But anyway, I wanted to pick these up to play with, and they are super fun. And one of the great and like awesome things that I discovered is that you can mix it up with polymer clay, and then the polymer clay glows in the dark. So if you check out my Instagram page, and I think it actually posted to my Facebook page. So if you're following Maker Comment on Facebook, you probably are familiar with this post already. But anyway, I spent an afternoon with some, torture, essentially, making all of these tiny little beads. And this is what this was. So I was just rolling this piece out and then cutting off stuff from this end to make a bunch of beads. So yeah, this is the blue glow-in-the-dark powder here. And I don't know, like I didn't really even measure, like I just mixed it around until the clay looked blue. So I don't even know how much I used. And that's probably not the most scientific approach, which is so ironic because I spent a good amount of my life in the scientific research world and where everything was like measuring things very precisely and taking good notes, and all of that has kind of gone out the window as I've pursued making as a career. I should bring that back. I should really bring that back. Like I probably need to be a bit more methodical with this stuff. But anyway, yeah, the results were great. You can make glow in the dark clay by adding glow in the dark powders to it. So fun times. The one thing I was really worried about when I was doing this is would the powder be ruined when you bake the clay? And obviously that wasn't an issue. Now, the other experiment with this, and maybe this is too many variables for one experiment. Now that I'm thinking about it as a scientist, I'm like, this is not how you conduct experiments. But one of my other questions was if I could bake the clay without using the oven. And so I have a heat gun, which it's one that I used for like you can get them at craft stores for I think it's for embossing powders for stamps, and I've had this thing since I was a kid, like in high school, and it still works, which is great. But it gets up to probably around 200-ish degrees, I think. And so I was like, well, I mean, that should be hot enough, probably, to bake the clay. So let's do it because I don't want to put these tiny beads in the oven, because I was sure that I would probably bake it too long or forget about it because they're so tiny and I didn't want them to burn. So what I did was I created a little foil boat, and as I made the beads, I put them in the boat. And then this was exciting and messy, so I had to like form this little lip around the bottom. But anyway, I got all the beads down here, and then I hit it with the heat gun, and it baked in seconds, which was great because they're so tiny. So I guess if you're working with really, really tiny things, like these tiny beads, you can totally bake the clay using a heat gun. I haven't tried this with bigger pieces. I don't know if I want to. Like with a bigger piece, I think it makes more sense to put it in your oven and bake it. But like if you're working with tiny, tiny things, I think the heat gun is probably fine. Tiny or thin. I think if it's really, really thin material, that'll also work. Okay, cool. So, so there's that experiment. Oh, I did, by the way, this wasn't without its little, like, tribulations, trials and tribulations with the heat gun. I did burn some of them because I held the heat gun on there too long. So just be aware that that's an issue. And, you know, my clay wasn't too bad, but I'm working in like, this room is actually pretty well ventilated. But, you know, if you're doing this, the Sculpey and Fimo clays do, like off gas some fumes. And the stuff that I was working with is so tiny that I don't think it was too much of a problem. But if you are doing this with a heat gun, you may want to do this in as well a ventilated room as you can, or outside. Okay, that would be my recommendation. Okay, and then some of the tools that I use. I bought this clay tool set like ages ago when I was getting into these miniature things, and I have to say most of the stuff in this is like completely useless. I mean, doesn't this remind you of like, you know, kindergarten when you know, when you're playing with Play-Doh and they give you those plastic tools, you know, to sculpt stuff with? That's what it reminded me of, and I don't know that any of it is that useful. The only things that are kind of useful would be like the needling tool, which looks like this. And that's great for punching a hole for like if you're doing an eye pin at the top of something, you can poke a hole first with this. Or if you're making beads, like this goes all the way through for a nice even hole. And I've used it to texture things as well, but not a whole lot. You can also use like a toothpick, and that would be totally fine. You'd get the same effect. And then, you know, it came with some sandpaper and a plastic thing for forming your clay on, which I don't really use. It did come with a very long cutter. It's like a razor. Or I don't know, like an X-Acto blade, but without the handle. Um, and that actually works. This is actually the one thing that I use fairly consistently out of this particular toolkit. So my suggestion to you would be to just like go to your hardware store and get a razor blade, and use that. Now, if you are working with kids or you are a child and you're watching this video, you know, just be careful with sharp things. Maybe use like a piece of plastic instead. Like you're just going for like a straight edge of something, you know, to get nice clean cuts. So it doesn't even have to be a razor blade if you don't want. So there's that. And then, you know, a long time ago too, I was really into decorating my nails. Like I have some crazy nail artwork things that I used to do. And that was a lot of fun. I don't do it anymore because I can't sit and wait for my nails to dry. Like it's the worst thing ever. I can't do anything. Like I have to do things with my hands, otherwise I get really antsy. So, anyway, I got these tools to do nail art, and I no longer use it for nail art. I'm using it pretty much for clay. So like the ball tool is great for smoothing over things and making little divots for stuff. There is like a pin sort of tool here. If I can get it out. Let's just get everything out here. Ah! Oh no! Tool overboard. Alright, so like there's a pin tool here that's similar to the needling tool in the clay kit. And yeah, so I got these at my local, there's a place near us called Mekong Plaza, and they have a nail art shop. that has all its supplies, and I got this for super duper cheap there. So, look around because you don't necessarily have to buy clay branded for clay sculpting tools in order to play with polymer clay or to sculpt it or anything like that. Stuff around your house is totally fine too. Like I've used toothpicks and wooden chopsticks and other things, and that works totally fine. So no pressure there. So yeah, that's. Oh, and then I also picked up this stuff. I haven't used it a whole lot. If anybody out there is watching and can tell me more about this, this is translucent liquid Sculpey, and it's supposed to be, I guess, like a clay glue. I think you can also use it to like condition your clay, make it softer if it's gotten kind of hard. And I know that folk also use it, like they'll mix it with things like chalk pastel dust or makeup, like eyeshadow powders to tint it, to make things that look like a liquid sauce or something over your clay, and then you bake it, and it has a sort of runny look to it. I don't know. I really haven't used this a whole lot, and I would love to learn more about it. So this is on my list of things to experiment with this week. And so I will let you know the results of that. All right, so I'm going to turn this guy back up here so I can see all of you. Well, I can't really see all of you. That's silly, but so you can see me, which is probably more important. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's what I've been working with this week. That's totally lopsided. That's so funny. Okay, I'm just gonna hold it here. I don't have the best rig set up right now. I've got to get a microphone extender. That's what's actually pulling my camera to the side right now, on my tripod, which obviously I didn't lock down very well before the live stream today. But that's something I've got to get in order here because that's a mess. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have today. Just regarding the challenge and the materials. And I hope that gives you some ideas. Those are the materials I'm using and that I have at home. So feel free to use what you want, or what you have access to at home as well. Like don't go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff, okay? This is just supposed to be something fun, something low key to do on the side. I think we've gotten out of doing a lot of hands-on and a lot of making. And I think it's just so important, just the process of doing these sort of things really, piques our creativity. And that's such an important skill. So, that's why we're doing this challenge. We're trying to do this not only to feel more creative, but to be more creative. And I think, everything that we're doing here can really help you, even though if you're not doing it, at work or as part of your job, all of these things can help you do better in whatever it is that you're doing. So, one thing hang on, let me check one thing here. I don't know if it went live on here. There was supposed to be a poll, and I don't know if it actually worked. But basically, I'm curious as to if, like when you watch this live stream, what time is convenient for you? I'm pretty flexible because I mean, I run my own business. This is what I do. So I want to schedule my live streams so that they are more accessible to you, and that they come at a good time. So if the poll didn't pop up in here, I'm still kind of new to this whole Facebook Live thing. I might also be trying a different streaming through YouTube Live for the next one. But if you can, either answer in the poll or in the comments for this post when you prefer to watch this live stream. That would be really, really helpful to me. So, in general, it doesn't have to be like a time, specific time, but, morning, noon, or night. Let's just do that, okay? And then we'll just go from there, and hopefully I'll be able to schedule these in at a time that works for you. And then also, I wanted to quick mention, because I didn't do it earlier and I should have, but each week, at the beginning of the week, I'm going to be doing this live stream so I can check in with you and we can kind of share our results and talk about how the challenge is going. But also, I wanted to take this a little bit further. And so I'm developing, if you are an educator, so teacher in public or private or whatever school, or even like at a library or a museum, I'm going to be creating a guide that specifically is for this challenge. Some tips and tricks for incorporating it into your classroom, things that might help you out in maybe getting materials to your students if they're doing like 100% distance. And I'll be working on that guide. Hopefully I'll have that out probably by the end of the week, hopefully. I've got a lot on my plate this week because I want to actually film what I've been doing too, and create a YouTube video out of it to also release at the end of the week. So, got a full plate. But those are the things that are coming up, and just stay tuned. I'm going to have all of this stuff up on my website for you to take a look at. Okay, cool. I think that's everything. I really should like write down a list of things that I should talk about in these live streams, but it's been kind of off the cuff, so so there you go. If I did forget anything, I'll just make another Facebook post. So please keep your eyes on the Facebook page, for more information about this challenge and other stuff coming out. And please, subscribe to our Instagram. We're on Twitter as well. And I'd love to hear from you and see your creations so far. So be sure to use that hashtag MakerCommentMC when you're posting your project, so that way I can see it, and be sure to tag us in it as well. All right. Okay, so good luck the rest of this week playing with your techniques and your different media, polymer clay in this in this case. And then at the end of the week, I'm going to share the results of my first week of experimenting. And then next week, at the start of next week, we're going to do another live stream. And I'll outline what we're going to do then. So stay tuned, and we'll see you later. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you soon.